Record. Okay, fab. Right, we're recording. Excellent. What can possibly go wrong now? I'm going to try very hard not to set my kitchen on fire, which I did rather hilariously before Christmas. But then I had quite a lot of the homemade toffee liqueur by that point. And rather worryingly, I wasn't at all phased. In fact, I didn't even realise it was only a customer that pointed it out. It was like, "You're on fire," which is quite funny. So I'll try very hard not to do that tonight. But hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to my kitchen. Welcome to Thermomix. Now, I'm cooking alongside Sue Hambleton this evening, who has joined us as an advisor. Sue is a customer. I'm going to let her introduce herself in just a moment. But I'll just say a few words about me so you know who I am. So my name is Lindsay. I am a trained chef. I said no to this machine for about 5 years. And the reason I said no is because I hadn't seen it in action. I'd met an advisor at a meeting, and she kept saying to me, "Look, you need to have a look at it." And I was like, "I'm not interested in it. I can cook. It's not for me. I know how to cook from first principles. I enjoy cooking." And I just sort of pushed it to the back of my mind. And then all of a sudden one evening, I ended up at a Thermomix demo at somebody's house. I was desperate to get out of the house one evening and thought, well, I may as well just go to this demo and have a look and see what it's all about. And I was totally blown away. So that is the reason why I am passionate now about getting people to see this machine in action. Because I think until you do, you just think it's another appliance. And I think the proof really is in the pudding. We have so many customers that decide to join our team as advisors and just share their passion for Thermomix. Because once you become an owner, it is a really big lifestyle change, and everybody loves talking about their Thermomix and naturally wants to share it with others. We've got quite a few of those sorts of people on the call this evening, and I just want to introduce Sue first of all, because Sue is going to be cooking alongside me. So I'm going to move the camera over to Sue, or Michaela can perhaps, if I don't manage to do that. Let's introduce Sue. So Sue, if you'd like to say a few words, please.
Yeah. So hello, I'm Sue Hambleton, not a trained chef by any means. However, I did used to love cooking, but when I first saw Lindsay with her Thermomix, it was at a stage when cooking was really complex in our household. We had dietary requirements to cater for, gluten-free, dairy-free, some vegetarians, some meat lovers. It was complicated, and I was at the stage where I hated cooking because it had just become a major chore. Anyhow, roll on a few months, and I'm so glad that Lindsay introduced me to this machine because it's just made so much difference. And to start with, I thought I could cook my own delicious food that I wanted to eat whilst I was catering for everybody else's fussy tastes. But it's been life-changing because we've ended up cooking a whole range of different things. My kids have got more adventurous, eating different stuff that I like, and it just cooks to restaurant quality with ease. So you don't have to be a chef, you can be a person who can't cook at all, and absolutely get loads of benefit from it. So I'm just looking forward to sharing it with you tonight, some of the things that we're going to cook.
Fab, thanks, Sue. Right, let's just put the spotlight back to, oh, brilliant, Michaela's on it, she's done it. Fab, thank you, Michaela. Okay, so what I'm going to do, first of all, we're going to do some cooking, which is, I know what you are all keen to see, but I'm also just going to run you, first of all, very quickly through the functions of the machine, because there's so many of them. It's kind of helpful for you to be able to get your head around it. So I'm just going to take you off of my tripod and just show you what my screen looks like to start with. So this is our home screen on the machine. Now the home screen has got 3 dials on it, and the dials are time, temperature and speed. Now if you think about the way you cook, it really is a product of those 3 functions, isn't it? If you are stood stirring away at a pan, you will do that for a certain amount of time. You'll have the pan at a certain temperature, although it won't be as precise as this temperature, because look, I can control the temperature perfectly, which is the reason why professional chefs love this. And I can also control the speed. And what this means is that instead of me having to stand stirring at a pan, I can just set my Thermomix to run and then go off and do something else. So this is our sort of basic home screen. If I swipe across and show you the functions, if somebody's off mute, if you wouldn't mind muting yourselves, that'd be really helpful. Or Michaela, you can mute everybody. So these are my functions. So I've got, I can use my Thermomix as a set of weighing scales. And incidentally, I can put the scales on throughout any cooking process as long as I'm not above about speed 3.5. So that is really handy. Having the inbuilt scales is fantastic. You can see if I just put my hand on the top, there you go, the scales will launch into life. And that in itself just saves so much time and effort, you wouldn't believe it. So there's my scales. Then we've got a dough function, which we're going to show you tonight. So this is used for making dough. You've got a super fast knead function, so the dough kneads in about 2 minutes. It is incredible, and the quality of the dough is absolutely brilliant as well. So turbo is used for, it's going to just not like that. No, it has got the lid on. Turbo is used for sort of chopping nuts. If I just give it a quick blast, a bit like a pulse on a food processor. So you can sort of grind your own flours from grains. You can grind coffee beans. You can, whatever. Yeah, I mentioned the nuts. You can do sort of Parmesan cheese into grated cheese in about 5 blasts or 10 seconds. It's a really, really powerful pulse. And when the speeds are going, when the blades are going at full pelt, they go at about 250 kilometers an hour inside the machine. So obviously you don't want to go putting your hand inside there. But it won't operate anyway without the lid on and the safety feature of the lid locking into place. So that would be very, very unlikely. Yeah, that's the reason why it saves so much time, because of course if they're going so fast, you can do these processes in a lot shorter time. Then one of my favorite functions, it cleans itself. There are 4 different settings on here depending on what you have been cooking. So if you've been making dough, for example, you would select the dough mode, you put water in and it will clean itself, making it much easier for you just to go in and do the final touches afterwards. You've got a blender on here, egg boiler, again, something so basic, we can all boil an egg, but it just takes that variability out. So you can determine, actually, let me just show you on here. You can determine how you want your yolk, whether you want it soft, whether you want it medium soft, medium hard, or hard, and it will be absolutely perfect. So that what this means is that when you put your eggs in and just follow the instructions, you can just leave it and go off and do something else. You are not constantly, it's not sitting there in the back of your mind thinking, are my eggs ready yet? Do I need to check them? I wonder if they're overdone. I wonder if they're not quite ready. You don't have any of that. It just removes that energy drain from the cooking process and frees up your mind to do other things, which is brilliant. You can use it as a kettle, which is great if you're in a motorhome or sort of short on space. You can get rid of lots of all these different appliances. You can use it to warm up your leftovers. Thickening mode, one of my favorite modes. So you can make a hollandaise in about 12 minutes in this machine just by putting all the butter and the egg yolks, a little drop of vinegar and some salt and some peppercorns in there, or some tarragon if you want to make a béarnaise sauce, and click thicken. And it is as straightforward as that. 12 minutes later, you have a perfect hollandaise. No messing about, no yolk splitting, no emulsion splitting, no problem with heat control. All you've got to do is just decant it into a flask and it's ready to serve, which is fantastic. You can use it as a rice cooker, and then you can ferment yogurt. You can use it as a slow cooker, and you can also sous vide, which is just a really chefy way of cooking food. If you're watching sort of MasterChef or Great British Menu, you will often see chefs cook sous vide, which basically means you put your protein, your meat or your fish inside a vacuum sealed bag and drop it into a water bath at constant temperature. and the resulting product is really soft and tender. So if you sous vide, I've got customers now that say they won't do steak any other way, because when you sous vide steak, it takes about 55 minutes at 55 degrees. The steak is so tender and juicy, and then you can just finish it in a little pan, glaze it in butter, and it will be one of the best steaks you have ever had. And often you will find in posh restaurants they will sous vide steaks and fish in that way. So they're the functions. If I go back here, you will see on my control panel, I have got access to what we call cookie do. So this is our, in fact, I'm just going to do it like that to start with. This is our recipe database. It's a bit like a Google search, but just for recipes. So you can see I can search cookie do. So this is, we've got access to about 68,000 recipes here. So if I just want to put in chicken, for example, and see, oh no, it would help if I could spell properly. That's because I'm trying to do it going round the corner. Chick, and there we go. So if I put my chicken on, it's told me it's found 313 results. So if I then go and take off my filter, and we can now manually override these or automatically override these filters. Oh no, I don't want that one on. Reset. Let's just go back into filters. It's a bit difficult when I'm trying to just do it the wrong way round. Here we go. Go away, keyboard. I want to look for English. There we go. So I'm going to take off my UK filter. And here I'm going to select English. So this will give me all the American and Australian recipes. All of a sudden, I've got over 1,000 results for chicken. And I often say to people, if it's not really on cookie do, it's not really worth cooking. You know, you've got more than enough to keep you busy. And that is just one search result for one item. So again, you know, you could put anything in this toolbar and it will pull up lots of different interesting and easy recipes for you to have a play with. And the inspiration on cookie do is phenomenal. There's nothing I like better. It's a bit like the Waitrose Food Illustrated, I suppose. There's nothing I like better than sitting down with a cup of tea or a glass of wine and just having a look through cookie do and being able to plan out your week. And I'll show you cookie do a little bit later. So here we go. If I go back onto there. So now this is where it gets really clever. If I go into my recipes, through the Cookie Do app, I can create my own collections. So these are just sort of recipe folders, if you like, and you can see, you know, let's go into my chicken folder for the sake of argument. So I've got 138 recipes saved in my chicken folder. So it's just going to load them. So these are all available on the screen, direct access. You'll see some are in French because I've obviously saved some French language recipes. Are they all in French? No, they shouldn't all be in French. And when I'm ready to cook something, oh, that looks quite nice. I think I'm just going to click on that. And then it'll launch that particular recipe. And all I need to do is press start cooking. We'll go straight into that recipe. So if I just come back out of there, and you can create as many recipe collections as you want to. And this is a really good way of getting organized and working out what you want to cook. Not only that, we've also got our saved collections. So these are recipe books that Thermomix publish. So they will collate recipes into books. We get 3 to 4 new collections in every market every month. So there are lots of recipes at your disposal. We've just brought out an Easter collection full of some really nice looking recipes. One of my favorites at Christmas time is this, a very Thermomix Christmas. So these collections will range from just sort of short collections of 8 to 10 recipes through to full cookery books of sort of 60 to 100 recipes. And so there you go, you've got all your recipes collected into that one collection that's published by Thermomix. And very often you can buy hard copy cookbooks if you want to have a browse through them. But I find Cookie Do just as good, really. I'm just going to stop my video on there. There we go. And then you can bookmark recipes. So you can favorite recipes as well. Any particular recipes that you want to cook and have them readily available to hand, then bookmark it. So that is my control screen. We will go and have a look at Cookie Do in a bit more detail. One of the things that I wanted to mention to you first, though, was this My Week function. So using Cookie Do, you can plan out all your food, and this is where we find customers get huge benefits in terms of cost savings, because not only can you determine what food you want to cook, you can plan it out for a day, a week, a month, even 6 months or a year in advance if you really wanted to. You can then create a shopping list of ingredients based on the recipes that you've selected for your menu, and then you can sync that shopping list of ingredients with your online shopping provider, and your ingredients will be delivered. Your shopping list, you can edit or amend it manually, so that you can, if there are other things that you want to put on the shopping list, obviously you can include them, or if you've got some products in stock, you can remove them. You shoot that over to your online shopping provider, and then you will have your shopping delivered directly to the door. So not only does this machine plan what you want to cook and help you get really organized, it will also do the shopping and it will do the cooking. I mean, how is that for an extra pair of helping hands in the kitchen? That is phenomenal. So you can see under my cook today, I got a bit carried away actually when I was planning the menu for today, and I put lots of options in for today, which of course we're not going to do them all, but this is so this is what, if I had recipes for later on in the week, I'm not that organized actually, they would all appear in my weekly planner. So you can see we've just got the selection of recipes that we're going to do today. So on that note, I'm going to allow Sue to start the first recipe, which is going to be the carrot and coriander soup, tikka salmon and steamed vegetables. So just from my week, I can just press on that button and then click start cooking. And at that point, Sue is going to take over.
Okay. So I don't think you can see my screen quite as well, but hopefully that's given you a good idea of what Lindsay's shown you that you can see on the screen. So I've done exactly the same here. I've come into my week and I've got the carrot, coriander soup and tikka salmon with steamed vegetables. So I'm just going to click here on start cooking. And the first thing it asks me to do is to put the veromia unit into position. Now, this Thermomix lives on my worktop because I use it all the time. This is the veromia unit that goes on top, which does sit in my cupboard because I don't need it all the time. But for certain recipes, it's really good and enables you to cook multiple things at the same time. So I'm just placing that on the top there, and then hit next. And it's asking me to weigh in 150 grams of carrots cut into slices, which I have prepared. So I'll just pop those in there. And go to next, and it weighs everything in for you, so you don't have to worry about having another set of scales. It just literally it's weighing that in 200 grams. Yeah, that's just about there. Just spread those out a bit. I've mixed it up a bit. I've actually put some French beans in there as well, just for a bit of variety. You get used to the things that you can kind of easily modify when you've had to go for a bit. And then we're going to put the veromia tray. So this is another layer that goes on top of that, onto the veromia dish. I've lined it with baking paper. And what I'm going to place on top is fresh salmon fillets. Now I'm just using two. I've only got 2 fish eaters in this house, but this is a great recipe that you can modify for however many people you're cooking for. So even if you're just cooking for one, it's really easy. Just pop one salmon fillet in and adapt the amount of veg accordingly. So that's really easy. And then we're going to season that with a bit of salt and pepper. And then here, this is a blue pizza job of tikka paste. So this is one of the brilliant things that I've found that all the family like actually, which is fantastic. So I've basically cooked a batch of tikka paste, which is very easily done. It roasts all of the spices in the unit. It then mills them all. You add in your chilies and your onion and garlic and everything else, and just leave it cooking away for 40 minutes. And at the end of that, you have a whole batch of tikka paste, which can keep in the fridge for an easy, quick meal anytime you want it. So I'm just going to spread a bit of paste on top of the salmon here. And it keeps really well in the fridge, actually. You just kind of cover it over with a bit of oil, and that keeps it really well for a good period of time. And it gives lots of flexibility. I sometimes use it on chicken for my meat-eating son. Perhaps mix it with a bit of yogurt if they don't want it quite so hot. So loads of options with that. Then what it's asking me now to set that aside. So we'll just pop that there. And now we're going to place things into the main jug, the main unit. So I'm just going to check the weight now. So first of all, this is where we're going to, because the soup is going to cook in the bottom part here. And it's asking for 50 grams of red lentils. So we just pop those in there. Click next. This is the zest of half a lemon, which I've prepared here. Just put that in. And then 2 centimetres of fresh ginger sliced, which again I've just quickly chopped up earlier. Okay, and then we're going to pop the lid on and the measuring cup. Now it says a measuring cup because this is actually a really useful thing for measuring amounts of water, and it's got markers on it, so it all has multiple purposes, which is a great part of the design. And then if I click next, it's basically, I'm going to turn it up to 10, which is the high speed, and it's just going to chop that for me for a few seconds. Okay, so we'll click next, and then I should have had my spatula handy when we get, here we go. Just do that. Now you can see that this is completely finely done. I'll show you actually. You can see, can you see that in there? Yeah, so we're just going to scrape that round. It's asking me to scrape that down the sides, just so that it's all back in the middle. And this spatula is perfectly designed to do that job and get around the blades and everything that you need. Okay, so pop that back in. And it's going to go again. So that was another 10 seconds at speed 10. And then again, I'll just scrape that round, and it's even finer now. It's chopped that beautifully. And then we're going to add in the rest of the ingredients. So again, just scraping that down. We're going to add in 300 grams of carrots cut into chunks. So often with things, if you don't need to worry about all the kind of fine chopping and everything, it can kind of go in really easily, and it will deal with that. One of the things I really don't miss is chopping onions, because you can literally just peel them, cut them into quarters and bung it in, which is what I'll do now. And then garlic, so that says 1 garlic clove, add that in. Again, that's just whole. Then it's asking for 50 grams of butter or olive oil, so your choice of fat really, basically. We'll just pop that in there. And then we pop that on. And this is going to do another chop, just on 5 for 5 seconds. Okay. So you get that little alarm to remind you when it's finished a step. When you get to the point where you kind of go away and leave it, you've got that kind of reminder, which you can set the volume of and the length of how long it goes for accordingly. So scrape that down. Now we need to add some water. So again, this all just weighs in. So I'm just going to pour that and watch the scale here until we get to 700 grams. Okay. The capacity of this bowl is about 2.2 litres, I think. So you can fit quite a lot in it. Plenty for a big family. There we go, slightly over, that's fine. So that's the water. And then we need a heaped teaspoon of vegetable stock. And this is one that, I made earlier. This is one of my biggest, not biggest, but it's one of the money-saving items that I have. Because I don't like stock cubes with all the additives and stuff. I used to buy organic bouillon powder and use that on a regular basis, get through quite a lot. But this is just made from ends of vegetables, carrot peelings, all of that kind of thing, which I save. And then I've just cooked it up this afternoon just by adding everything in with water. It's cooked it away, it's churned it all up, and that will keep in the fridge for ages. So that's another staple that I really benefit from having. So that's the vegetable stock added. Then we need a bit of salt. So I'm just using some Himalayan salt here. You can vary that. It says 1/2 to 1 teaspoon, so you can do that to taste. And a pinch of freshly ground black pepper. Okay, so now we're going to stack the unit up. So I'm going to top the lid on, but we don't want the measuring cup in.
Just check. I think we have 3 different flavors, like that from Lidl, or you can have
Does somebody need to mute?
Sue, we can't hear you. You're muted now.
I think somebody muted me as well. I don't know if you missed anything there.
Sorry, Sue, can you go back a minute? I did mute you by accident by muting all. So please just go back to the what you're about to do. Yeah, sorry.
So just to recap, I've got the soup is going to cook in the bottom in the jug here. I've got the vegetables that are going to steam in this unit here, and then on the tray at the top is the salmon with the tikka paste on, and that's all going to cook together all at the same time. So if I hit next, it's asking me to set it for 20 minutes using the veromia unit. That's the highest temperature, just on speed 1. It doesn't need a high speed to chop it up or anything. So I'm going to set that off, and then the beauty of this is that I can leave it for 20 minutes and I can go and get on with something else, or even chill out, which is quite nice, rather than having to watch it and stir it and do all of those sorts of things. So I will just set that going, and then I think Lindsay's got some other exciting things in store for you to see whilst this is cooking.
Okay, right, so I've just unmuted myself. And the other thing that you can do, it doesn't call for it in this recipe, but this is one of the other accessories that comes with the Thermomix. It's called the simmering basket. It sits inside the Thermomix bowl. And what it means you can do, so you can either steam additional vegetables in here, or you could put rice in there as well. I think Sue's probably got she's making quite a lot of soup in there, so that's the reason why the simmering basket hasn't been used to put rice in. But you can absolutely, because I've done it on other demos, make a small portion of soup in the bottom, or enough for sort of maybe 3 to 4 portions rather than sort of 6 to 8. Then you would put your simmering basket in with the rice inside, and then you would have your veromia on top. So not only do you get vegetables and fish, or vegetables and chicken steamed away, you also get rice to serve with it, all from one machine, which also minimises the washing up. It's absolutely brilliant. That is another reason why customers love this machine, and why personally I love this machine so much, is that I have got clear worktops when I'm cooking, because the machine is doing all the hard work for me. I don't need to use every pot, pan, utensil, set of scales, bowl, separate bowl to weigh into. I just use this as much as I can, and then When it's finished, it even washes itself up at the end. And if you want to give it a really thorough clean, you can just take the bowl apart, the blades click out, and you can put the whole lot in the dishwasher, which is fantastic. So what do we serve with a lovely bit of curried fish? Well, the obvious answer is going to be a naan bread if you haven't got rice. So I'm going to show you really quickly how to make a very, very simple naan bread. Now, I've got some dough ready prepared. Always wanted to be a Blue Peter presenter. You'll have to excuse me. I get more and more passionate as I go through. But what I want to do is show you the process of how you make that bread, because it is so quick and easy. Now, I used to make bread using a KitchenAid before I had my Thermomixes. And again, that was one of the reasons I said, oh no, I make bread by hand. I've got, well, not by hand, I put it in my KitchenAid. Well, dough will take a good 10 minutes to knead properly in a KitchenAid, where it takes 2 minutes using the super fast knead function in a Thermomix. And some of you may have seen on Facebook, I made some bread rolls yesterday morning. I started them at 6:45 in the morning, and they were out of the oven at 8 o'clock. In an hour and a quarter. Now, I force proved them, which meant I didn't give them a first proof, but they proved up in rolls, and I put them in a low oven just to make it nice and warm to encourage them to rise. But that is pretty phenomenal to be able to just whip up a batch of fresh bread rolls in about an hour and a quarter when you need them. So I'm just going to show you the process now of how to make the naan bread, and this is the same for sort of any pizza dough or any bread dough. Generically, the recipes are very, very similar. So here we go. This is what I'm doing: naan bread with onion and cumin. Now, in this batch here, I haven't actually got the onion and cumin because I know my children will complain when I serve it to them tomorrow. So I put the onion and cumin in this one. I just did half a batch earlier so that it was ready. So if I press start cooking, it's going to take me through the recipe step by step. Now, what it wants me to do is add a tablespoon of cumin seeds in here. I'm going to click on next, then put the lid on, and then it's going to toast them in the veroma, using the veroma setting. So this is a sort of a high temperature for about 3 minutes. And just, it's going to stir it gently. Now, I'm not going to do that particular part. I've actually got some toasted seeds all ready to go. But this is super useful when you are making your own curries, because not only will it make the curry for you, but you will toast and grind the seeds often that you need to use in the curry or in the paste to start with. So it's going to now talk me through the main part of the recipe, which hopefully you can see. So it's asking for 450 grams of bread flour. Now I'm just going to reset my scales to 0. Okay. And what I'm going to do as well is just, I think, transfer you to a small tripod so I don't have to hold you and try and weigh everything in all at the same time. So hopefully this tripod will just focus down like that on the screen. There we go, that should be okay. Just get it a little bit more central for you so you can see what's going on. And I'll move the light as well right onto the screen just to help. There we are. Okay, so now I'm going to halve the recipe, which you can do. So a lot of people are worried if you live on your own or there's just a couple of you, can I halve recipes? And absolutely you can. You've got full manual override control over all the settings. So it's not going to tell you off if you don't quite put what it's expecting to receive in there. So what am I going for? I'm going for 225. Very sadly, it doesn't recalculate those weights for you, but it's good to, you know, be able to have a little think about it every now and again. Just makes that cooking experience a little bit more real. Okay, click on next. So 30 grams of dried onions. So these, I just get these in Asda. Let me just show you. These are usually in the sort of the Polish section. They're really good in curries, actually. I'm just going to put in 15 grams, slightly more. And then 100 grams of plain yogurt. Now, I do make all my own yogurt in the Thermomix. I've got some lovely little pots of yogurt, but that's sweetened yogurt. So I've had to buy a pot of yogurt, especially to do this, which is very upsetting, actually, because it's about a quarter of the price to make yogurt as it is to buy it. But I wasn't quite that organised to whip up a batch of plain yogurt without any sweetener in it. There we go. Okay, I've just gone slightly over, it won't matter. 100 grams of milk or 100 grams of water. So you could make all of this dairy free if you wanted to, just by using different type of yogurt. And some vegetable oil. Now, when it says vegetable oil, it'll leave it up to you. I'm going to use olive oil. It doesn't really matter what you use. Just make sure I remember to half it, because sometimes I get halfway through these and get a bit carried away. Right, a little bit of yeast. Let's pop the yeast in. And some sugar. Where's my sugar? Yeah. Okay. Oh, and some salt as well. So it really makes it very easy. It's so easy. A child can do this. If you can read, you can use the Thermomix. And what it also means is that it just takes a little bit of responsibility off the person that's usually the main cook, because other people, even if they can't cook, can participate in that cooking process. So it's asking me to put the lid on, and then you can see my dials are automatically preset. I've got 20 seconds here, no temperature, and I'm just going to turn that to speed 3. And all that's going to do is just mix those ingredients together. You can see if I just pick you up, it's just mixing it together for 20 seconds. Often I don't bother with this, I just go sort of straight in for the knead. So if I was just doing this manually, I would weigh in all my ingredients. I have a white pizza dough recipe that I use, I give to all my customers, because actually it's Pizza Express's pizza dough recipe. And that involves just loading in all of your ingredients and then clicking knead for 2 minutes. So there we go, that's that 20 seconds finished. It's asking me to scrape down the sides. I'm going to have a quick look. It looks fine in there to me. So I'm not going to bother with that. Put the lid back on again. And then you've got a 3-minute knead automatically preset. So all you've got to do is just turn the dial and it's going to knead away. So if I just show you what happens inside, you can see it kneading, and it sort of goes in one direction. And then I think it goes, does it go back the other way? No, it keeps going with a little pause. And this knead function is phenomenal. It produces the lightest bread dough really quickly, and it is one of the best features as far as I'm concerned about this machine, just making bread a lot more accessible. Okay, so here's my dough that I've already made earlier. So this is what it looks like when you've left it to brew for an hour or so. And all I'm going to do with that is cut it into portions. Now, if I stop this on the machine, it will tell me exactly what to do with the dough at each stage. So here it's telling me to take it out and put it into a greased bowl to let it prove. I'm just going to skip through that. And then it's going to give me the instructions for what I need to do to cook it. So it's asking me to preheat the oven to 240 degrees. If you have a separate grill, preheat that. Line with baking paper. There we go. Now, on a lightly floured surface, knead dough briefly by hand, then divide into 6 equal sized pieces. Roll each piece into a teardrop shape. And then it's going to ask you to place them on the preheated baking tray in batches if necessary, and bake for 4 to 6 minutes. Okay, so I'm just going to go and get my rolling pin. So it couldn't be easier, really. The dough is beautiful, really easy to use. I am just going to cut it. It wanted me to cut it into, what, 6 pieces. So I can't help myself but actually weigh them so I get equal portions, but I won't do that tonight. I'm just going to do a couple to give you an idea. So here's my dough portion. All I'm going to do is just flatten it. You don't need to use too much extra flour when you're rolling these out. In fact, it's probably advisable not to. It will roll out really nicely. She says I'm now rushing, so I'm not going to get a, well, that's not too bad, I suppose, an oval shape, sort of naan-esque like, isn't it? So that's just going to leave that to one side and do another one. So you can see you can be sort of quite vigorous with it. You don't have to worry too much. It's not sticking to the work surface. I've just got a silicone mat down here, one of our baking mats, which are fab. And actually, in order to get this to prove earlier within the time, I sort of left it a bit too late to make it and give it an hour's proof. What I did was actually wrap the dough inside this silicone mat. I popped it into this veromia and then put it on top of my Thermomix. And I used the Thermomix. I had some water in the bowl and I used the Thermomix just to create a really lovely warm environment. So I set it for about 30 minutes at 70 degrees, speed 2, and it just encouraged that dough to rise really quickly. So rather than leaving it for an hour, I was able to leave the dough for just 30 minutes, which is, again, one of the benefits of the Thermomix. Right, so those two are sort of ready, I would say, to go in. I'm not going to do the rest of it. I'm just going to store the rest of it in a plastic bag. Now, this is often how I store my dough in the fridge. When I've always got a bag of pizza dough in the fridge, and I make it a couple of times a week. We'll have pizzas, or I will use it to make flatbreads with for lunch boxes or just to have alongside the dinner. And I just cut off portions as and when required. And then whatever I have left over, so if I've only got 100 grams left over and I'm not going to use it, I add it to the next batch of dough and it functions like a poolish. So it just improves the flavour of that dough. So what it means is that you've truly got no waste. And actually, it almost becomes a bit of like a sort of a sourdough. It takes on that the characteristics of sourdough because the yeast will continue to ferment and improve over time. So that just goes into the bag, and I will just leave that in the bag, and we'll use that tomorrow. I might even do some naans for lunch boxes tomorrow. Be fine in the fridge, and then all I have to do tomorrow morning is just get it out, portion it up, roll it, and pop it on a hot baking sheet. So let me just get my baking sheet out of the oven. And I should just put a little silicone mat down onto it, actually. This has gone into a hot oven. So here's my little mat, straight on, and then onto here like that. It's as easy as that. Who knew it was that easy to make naan bread? You never need to buy them again. Right, and I'm just going to set that for 5 minutes, and we'll see how we go. I don't want to get carried away and let them burn. So there we go. And you can see that my dough is kneaded in there. I've stopped it half the way through, but that won't matter. I'll just pull that out. Oh, it's still there. Yeah, because I want to use this now to cook something else with. I just pop that into another bag. Make sure I pulled out all the onions because I want to go straight on to making my pudding. And again, this is the beauty of the Thermomix. It's so versatile. So you can do mains with it. You can do salads. It makes the most incredible chopped salads in about 8 seconds. You can make a drink with it. We're going to do that. You can make your bread dough with it. You can make yogurt with it. You can make butter with it. You can make all sorts of things. So really, rather than having all these different appliances in your kitchen, you just can replace them with this. And what it means is, if you're sensible about how you cook, now I wouldn't necessarily recommend making a cumin and onion naan before doing a cake, but as it's quite clean inside and I pulled out all the little bits of chopped onion, I'm just going to get on and make the cake straight away that I want to make. So let's just put that to one side. I'll get another bag out for that. It only had a minute kneading or so, but it will be fine. That goes into a bag as well. Use when we have a curry next. And then I'm just going to come out of here, go back into my week, and pick up my next recipe. So if you're clever about how you sort of run things, if you've got multiple things to do, then you find that you can do, you only need to do very limited washing up. Now, obviously, if you've made a curry, I would always recommend washing the bowl before you go on to make yogurt or a chocolate cake, but you get the general idea. So let's pick up this recipe now, which is the molten caramel centre muffins. So I'm just going to click start cooking. Yes, preheat the oven to 220, so it's quite hot anyway. So it's asking me to prepare the molds by greasing them with flour, greasing them with butter and putting some flour onto them. Now it wants me to put the butter into the machine. So let's just grab my butter. Okay. Now, again, you know, butter is something that can be really easily made in a Thermomix, and it costs less money to make it from double cream. It takes between 1 minute and 2 minutes, depending on the temperature of your cream, and it will split out very, very quickly into butter. And then you've got all the buttermilk, which you can use as a sort of an added like a byproduct. You can put it in coffee, you can put it on your cereal, you can make porridge with it, you can bake with it. And it works out much more cheaply to make your own homemade butter than it does to buy it. So I'm just going to add in, I'm going to double this recipe because my children will be very upset if I only produce 2 of these, which I think is what the recipe was for. So I'm just going to double it up. Now, incidentally, I haven't actually made this recipe before. And so there's nothing like a bit of a baptism of fire. But again, you know, it just shows you I've got the confidence to cook something live on a demo that I haven't cooked before. Because even if you don't know what you're doing, this machine, if you follow it to the letter, it will guarantee you restaurant quality. So what am I doing? 110 grams, I think I make that. Right, now I'm going to put in 300 grams of dulce de leche. Now, I actually had a go at making this this morning, which was quite good fun. I made some ricotta because we were thinking about doing a sort of a spinach and paneer dish tonight. So I ended up making some paneer, which is effectively like making ricotta. So all you do, again, the recipe is on here, that you use a Thermomix to heat the milk to 80 degrees. It takes about 10 minutes. Then you add in either lemon juice or vinegar, mix it around, leave it for a couple of minutes, and that will split your full cream milk into curds and whey. So you drain the curds and you end up with this. Let's get this out the fridge. So this is paneer. This is homemade paneer, which I will be using in my spinach curry a little bit later. There you go, that's paneer. I just need to cut it. If I didn't drain it as thoroughly, this would have made ricotta. And again, I made some ricotta the other week on a demo because I did some beautiful choux pastry buns filled with a smoked salmon and ricotta filling, which we piped inside them. And again, we made everything. This will make the choux pastry in minutes. And then it made the ricotta, and then of course it made the filling to go inside it. You still had to pipe the choux pastry out yourself, by the way. It's not quite that clever. Right, my beeper is going off telling me that my naan breads are done. So I'm just going to pull them out the oven. How are you doing, Sue, with your dinner? Oh, there we go. Right, yes, they are.
To go.
Okay, fine. Right, so my naan breads are here. Just come out the oven. I'm just going to pop a little tea towel over the top of them so that they soften. So that was good timing, wasn't it, Sue? Let's just pop a tea towel over the top and leave them. I want my oven on. Okay, so back to this recipe. Yeah, there's loads of, I just pick all the recipes that take my fancy, basically. But somehow I've managed to lose 6 kilograms since January, and I've cooked mainly for myself using a Thermomix as well. So it is possible. And there are lots of recipes for restricted diets, things like plant-based diets. If you're vegetarian, you will find an absolute wealth of recipes and inspiration. So let me just put in, I will stop talking, I promise, in a moment. Oh, there we go, just gone slightly over it. Yeah, I was telling you about my dolce de leche. So I read somewhere while I was having a poke around, and I thought, I wonder if I can make, I knew I could make dolce de leche just by boiling a tin of condensed milk for hours. And I thought I must be able to do it in the Thermomix. And actually you can, but you still end up having to boil a tin of condensed milk or steam it effectively in the Thermomix for a long time. And then I came across a recipe on one of our recipe communities. So not on Cookie Do, the online recipe platform, but Thermomix has a huge worldwide following, and there are a number of different recipe communities that you can also use for recipes, and that you have the step-by-step Thermomix method there. Now, these are recipes both that Thermomix have added to, but also customers from around the world. And somebody said on there that you could actually make dolce de leche using whey from the ricotta or the paneer that you make. So when it splits out into your curds, which is your paneer or ricotta, and whey, I just collected up all the whey, I put it back into my Thermomix with some sugar, and I cooked it for about an hour and a half. Unfortunately, I went slightly too far because I went out on a dog walk in the middle of it and just left it cooking, and I've actually turned it into hard set caramel. So I ended up having to go rush out and, or in fact, send my husband to get one of these, which is a bit of a shame, but I'm going to have another go. I'm not going to be defeated by it. Right, I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to put my lid on. And now this is just going to heat. The next stage of the recipe is to heat for 3 minutes at 60 degrees and speed 1. So again, you know, this is just a really safe method of cooking. So if I was making these with my children, I've got a 10-year-old girl that loves to help me in the kitchen. I've got every sort of confidence I can just leave her alone with this machine and she will be able to cook very, very safely. The one thing I just have to watch out for with the children is once the if you're cooking and you're cooking a main meal, obviously you have to allow the steam just to wear off for a little bit before you take the lid off, otherwise you get a big cloud of steam come up. But again, you know, Thermomix are constantly updating these machines, so all of our updates are delivered by software update, and there's a new safety function here again, which was released just a few weeks ago, where you have a countdown timer now for 20 seconds. So if you stop the machine at any point and want to add something else or look inside it to see how it's getting on, you won't be able to open that lid for 20 seconds. And that's just enough time for the steam not to kind of come right up into your face when you take the lid off. So it's really clever and really safe. Okay, so I'm going to leave that to heat away now. Sue, is your recipe finished so you can show everybody what it looks like?
Yes. Am I unmuted? Yes. Yes, so that's gone off. And if I just lift this off here, you'll be able to see, hopefully, be able to see that. Oh, can you see that? No, I haven't got the angle right there. So that's the salmon that's cooked on the top. And then we've got the, I'll just rest that out here. So we've got all the veg that's now nicely steamed away in there. And what is, so we're just going to remove the veromia unit. Yeah. And keep that warm. Then the soup that's cooked away in here, we just need to add a bunch of coriander. Just in here. Now it asks for 100 grams of milk. We're dairy free in this household, so I'm using some almond milk that I've made in the Thermomix. That's one of our regular staples that we make, and I substitute that in quite a lot of recipes actually, and it works brilliantly well. The bonus of this is that I also get almond pulp that I can use to make all sorts of other things, from energy balls to energy bars, healthy snacks, and biscuits is a really good base. So I'm just going to add that milk in. And then we pop the lid back on. Now this is one where it asks me to change the speed. So basically it's going to take a minute, and we start it at speed 5 and then gradually increase it. So for that minute, you do have to kind of pay attention to what it's doing. I'll just do that now. You can kind of hear when it needs to go up.
Shall we just, if you just come back to me, Michaela, for the timing while it's blending, then I can just continue with the next step. So you can see in my TM bowl that I've got the butter melted into the dolce de leche. Now it's asking me to put in the butterfly whisk. So in that goes. So again, this is an accessory that comes with the Thermomix. It wants an egg yolk, so I happen to have one here, which is fab because I needed whites yesterday as I was making potato waffles. I ended up separating an extra egg, and I would never throw. So if you use a white, I would always recommend when you have a Thermomix, don't ever throw those yolks away. You can collect them up. They'll sit quite happily in a cold fridge for a few days or up to a week. And you can make things like custard. Making custard in a Thermomix is so quick and easy. All you do is throw in milk, some sugar, a little bit of corn flour, some eggs, click thicken, same principle as Hollandaise. Less than 10 minutes later, you've got custard. So often one of my children, if we've got a pudding on a Sunday that requires custard, will just leap into action and automatically make custard without me having to even ask them. So that's why children love it. It just makes it a little bit more fun, very accessible. Of course, you've got the touch screen on the front, which of course the children love. So now it wants a whole egg. So in goes an egg. Oh, let me get my glass out of the way. 10 grams of caster sugar. Actually, I'm doubling, aren't I? So let's add another egg. So this is going to be fun. Now I'm going to have to separate an egg because I hadn't thought about that. Let me just grab a glass so I can separate an egg. And I'm going to save the egg white because I'm going to be making some macarons tomorrow. I'm doing a macaron workshop for customers on Saturday. So, you know, as customers of Thermomix, it's not like when you buy any other kitchen appliance, because actually you get an advisor to help you throughout your ownership. And you will also get invited to cookery classes to help you get the most out of your machine. So I'm just going to pop that extra egg yolk in there. So you're never left on your own. And that's, you know, one important thing to say is I run these demos on behalf of quite a lot of advisors in my team and on behalf of other advisors as well elsewhere. And if you have been sent to this demo by another advisor, please, and you decide after watching us this evening that you want to own a Thermomix, please go back to your advisor and order through them. Don't just go onto the website. You can now order Thermomix on a website, but the problem with that is you will not be offered the monthly customer promotion, which is only available through an advisor. So you will miss out, but also you won't get the benefit of having an advisor on hand to help you. And that is worth its weight in gold. And it costs you no more money to do it in that way. And you will get so much more value out of your Thermomix. Right, let's add in 20 grams, I think, of caster sugar. Pop that in. There we are. Pop the lid on again. And now it's going to mix away for 2 minutes. So it's going to whisk away 2 minutes. And it's set for 40 degrees and it's going to whisk at speed 4. So should we just go back to Sue while it's doing that?
Yeah, so the soup is now done. I've just literally poured some out. You'll see that it's deliciously smooth. I have never tasted soup like this producer's actually. It's so perfectly done because the temperature, because it's very, very well controlled, the temperature it cooks at is perfect. So you always get the best tasting soup and it's just deliciously smooth. So there you can see the end result that's come out. don't know if I can see that very well. So some nice looking soup there that we can just eat. And then we've got the salmon as well, all ready to go. And there's, go on.
Are you going to plate up the salmon? Is that ready, Sue?
It is ready. I can do that. Do you want me to do that on screen? Let's get it.
Oh no, don't worry. You can plate it up, and we'll come back to you. We'll yeah, I've got plenty I can do here. Right. Okay. So what I want to do next is just make the quickest, easiest lemonade. You will not believe this recipe. Okay. So here we go. I've loaded lemonade onto my screen. Click start cooking. Now it's asking me to put some lemons in. I'm actually just going to override it and do it in a slightly different way because I'm going to weigh in my sugar. Now, again, another money-saving benefit of the Thermomix is that you do not need to buy anything other than regular white granulated sugar because you can make caster sugar and you can make icing sugar in seconds. So it takes 2 seconds to make caster sugar in a Thermomix and 10 seconds to make icing sugar. So I'm just going to show you that now. I'm just going to weigh in. Don't want to do that. I want to put my scales on. I'm going to weigh in about 80 grams of sugar and show you what happens in a couple of seconds and then what happens in 10 seconds as well. So 80 grams of sugar goes in. Lid on. Oh, you can't really see me there. There we go. Then I'm just going to come out of here of my weighing scales, go back to my home screen. I want to make caster sugar to start with. So that's 2 seconds, speed 9. And again, this is the sort of thing that your advisor will help you with, just getting to know all those little tips and tricks and the features and functions of the Thermomix. And when you buy a Thermomix, you will also be invited to a personal induction. So we give you an hours online. At the moment, they're online rather than coming to your house, but you get an online induction to walk you step by step through all the features and the functions. Now that's got to be better than reading a manual, hasn't it? So there we go. So there's my caster sugar, you can see. And if I go for 10 seconds, so if I just add on another 8 seconds, I'm going to get icing sugar. Now, icing sugar is twice the cost of granulated sugar to buy. I can never understand it because all it is it's just been processed a little bit more finely by using a giant Thermomix, effectively. There we go. So there's my icing sugar in there. Can you see that? And this is fine enough. I mean, if I was to do, I'd probably do it a little bit longer if I was going to make macarons. But this will be fine enough to be able to pipe royal icing with and to make macarons with. So, you know, it's a real quick and easy thing to do, and it will save you £1 or so every time you buy a bag of sugar. Okay, so let's go back into my recipe. So I've got my icing sugar in there. Now, all I'm going to do, here we go, big lemons. One, I needed the peel from one of them earlier, so I did just peel it, but actually you shouldn't peel it. You should, the instruction is to put them in unpeeled and halved. So all I'm going to do is put my lemons in like that. Add, so now it's asking me to add the sugar. There you go, but I've already put the sugar in. And I am just going to reduce the sugar a little bit because I don't think you need the full 100 grams. Again, an amazing benefit of the Thermomix is that you have full control over what you put in. So if you are reducing sugar or eliminating sugar, then there will be other options that you can use. And I know when I first came to do a demo at Sue's house, we did this with coconut sugar, I think, Sue. Right, 500 grams of water. I am going to stop talking and keep cooking. This has been a very talky demo. I'm not usually this bad, but I'm determined we're going to finish by 9. So I'm going to have to crack on. So in goes my water. Then I'm just going to put the lid on. Oh, she is. Oh, thanks, Michaela. So it's asking me to put the lid on, hold the measuring cup in place, and then 2 seconds at speed 10. So there we go. So it's just ground up all those onions, mixed in all the sugar in 2 seconds. That's what it looks like. Doesn't look very much like lemonade, but you'll see it will do in a moment. It's asked me to add in another 500 grams of water, so I'm just going to pop that in. And then I need a simmering basket. And Sue touched on this earlier, actually. It's, what am I going to drain it into? Actually, I think I might put it into here. Hang on. Oh no, I'm getting confused. I haven't done this for a few weeks. Right. All my instructions. I should remember all my instructions are on the screen. Here we go. If I click on next, it will tell me to put the simmering basket inside the Thermomix bowl. So there we go. So you'll notice that on one side of the simmering basket, there's a hole. So this is a really handy tip for new customers. Oh, there we go. There's my hole. And on that side, this is designed so that when your Thermomix is hot and you've got rice or vegetables in here, you can use our spatula just to clip it in and lift it out really safely. And then there's a little recess on that handle. You can just pop it like that to drain. These are German designed and engineered. They think of absolutely everything. And as Sue touched on earlier, all of these appliances, this appliance rather, is designed to replace as many other appliances and bits of kitchen equipment as possible. So you can use your veromia as not only as a steamer, but you can use it as a colander as well. It's really useful when you're making jam. You pop it on the top there. Jam, amazing. You can make the most incredible jam in 40 minutes. But this will act as a splatter guard on top of your machine when you're making jam. The simmering basket not only simmers, but you can use it as a sieve, and then you can use it as a filter. So look what we're about to do now. So I'm just going to, it's got vents on this side. I'm just going to hold it in place and just pour that beautiful lemonade through. And I'm going to have a whole litre of fresh lemonade, arguably a little bit healthier than the stuff that you buy, those fizzy bottles of pop without any lemons. At least you've got the vitamin C content in here. It's truly delicious. You can do a strawberry lemonade, a raspberry lemonade. You can do a watermelon lemonade, which was really popular, beautiful colour actually it had in the summer, and it'll filter out all of those watermelon pips as well. And there you go. You've got a lovely litre of fresh lemonade with all the health benefits of lemon as well. So that's my lemonade.
Shall I just show plated up?
Yeah.
Because it's going to get eaten. So I'm just gonna, there you go. So just bowl of soup, and that looks like a really healthy meal, and it's going to be very tasty.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Right, if we come back to me now, Michaela. Okay, what am I going to do next? Very quickly, I'm going to set off the mango and turmeric sorbet, I think. So I'm trying to resist pouring myself a glass of that. It's very unusual actually that my children are not down here, because they circle, they know I tend to do very similar things at demos, and they always want to know what I'm cooking, and they know uncannily what time to enter the kitchen so they can pick up everything that they want to eat. So let's go back into my week, and I'm just going to make a really quick frozen fruit sorbet. Now this is a fabulous recipe. You can do this with all sorts of frozen fruit. I'm doing a mango and turmeric one because I thought that would work really well with the main meal that Sue has cooked, but you can do this with any frozen fruit: blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, pineapple. You can cut up your own fruit. So if you've got fruit that's slightly past its best in the fruit bowl, don't chuck it up. Cut it up, open freeze it, and then bag it up, and you can use it to make this incredible thing here, which is a brilliant pudding for children. Very quick and also very healthy. So start cooking. Let's click on yes. I want to do my sorbet. So it's asking me to put about 80 grams of sugar in. Now, again, if you wanted to reduce the sugar content on this or take it down to 0, you can do it. You can sweeten it with a frozen banana. I'm going to put my sugar in. It's going to start in exactly the same way as the lemonade recipe did. You can halve the sugar if you want to. You can add more. You can leave it out. You can replace it with a banana. Lots of options. And that is what your advisor will be there to tell you. Now it's asking me to put in some lime zest here. So here's my lime. Now, again, lovely little trick. You do not need to zest your citrus fruits. You just get a potato peeler or vegetable peeler, peel it off. It takes seconds that way. And then you get the Thermomix to grind up and make your zest in with your sugar at the start of the recipe. So 10 seconds speed 10, similar to what we did before. Just milling it. There you go. Okay. Oops. Click on next. Right, now it's asking me to add in 500 to 600 grams of frozen mango. So I'm just going to use a bag of frozen mango. Oh, I should have used a pair of scissors to get into this earlier. Here we go. So I don't know what's in this bag. Oh, it is 500 grams. So that goes in. Click on next. 50 to 100 grams of almond milk. Well, I don't have any almond milk, but I do have some coconut milk here. So, because this is all going to be dairy free, so I'm just going to pop in a little bit of coconut milk. I thought that would work really well with the coconut, with the lime and the mango itself. Now, a little bit of turmeric. Now, I've got some fresh turmeric here. It's asking for just the turmeric spice. But as I had fresh turmeric root, I thought I was going to put that in as well. And then it's asking for coconut flakes. I'm not going to put that in because my children start complaining if they find bits in their ice cream. So I'm going to leave that out. And then just it's asking me to put the lid on and turn the speed selector to 8. So it's going to chop all that up in 10 seconds, I think. Click on next. Scrape down the sides. Find my spatula. Right, we're almost there actually. I'll just show you what's happened. That was 10 seconds. So often when I make, you can make something called a berry foam. When you've done your frozen fruit sorbet, if you put the butterfly whisk in and add an egg white, it will whip it up into like a beautiful frozen fruit mousse. It's absolutely delicious. Really good summer pudding and all fruit. So you can get away with giving fruit to your children for pudding, because mine always seem to complain if I give them fruit. So another 10 seconds at speed 8. It's going to let me show you what's going on inside. Oh, now I should have put my spatula in, it told me. So again, the spatula is designed because it's got this ledge here to sit on top of the blades. Hang on, let's just show you that again. You give it a stir from the inside. Okay. Oh, look at that. And then it wants me to put the butterfly whisk in. I have to go and grab another butterfly whisk out of my drawer. As you can see, it's well on its way to becoming something absolutely gorgeous. Pop the butterfly whisk in, so I can see if I can find where my blades are. Give it a little twist after insertion. I just want to dive into it. It looks so lovely. Put the lid and the measuring cup on, and then it's going to mix for a minute at speed 4 with that whisking. So it's just going to whip it up. We're going to leave it to mix away. Right, final little bit on my these cakes, which I haven't forgotten about. It wants me to put in 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. A little bit too much. So there we go. There's the cinnamon in. Then some vanilla extract. Oh, I'm not going to get it off unless I put it under some boiling water. Hang on. Right, there we go. That's my lid off. Put a little bit of vanilla extract in. That's roughly enough, and some plain flour. Now, these obviously won't be cooked before 9 o'clock, but I will post the recipes on my Facebook group. So if you're a member of the Thermomix Whiz Facebook group, you'll see them. If not, Sue will share them with you, or your advisor can share them with you, or please do feel free to join my Thermomix Whiz customer group on Facebook. Right, so I'm going to add in about 40 grams of plain flour. There we are, just gone slightly over. Then put the lid on. And then it's just going to whisk away for a minute with the whisk still in. Okay, so that's finished. Click on next, remove the butterfly whisk and serve immediately. So can you see how gorgeous that looks? And again, you know, this is absolutely heavenly. This will stay, because of the stainless steel bowl, this will stay cold for quite a long time, actually. So you can leave it in here. This kitchen's very hot, so it's going to heat up more quickly. But you can take it to the table, serve it like that. I mean, my children will just devour this. And you're safe in the knowledge that you've just given them fruit and some good stuff. And yes, a little bit of sugar as well. But that's mixing away. So my sponge cakes are mixing away. If they get to it first, I know I'm tempted to just shove a spoonful in. I'm gonna have to, it'd be rude not to, wouldn't it? Close that on your spatula. Absolutely delicious. Yum, yum, yum. And really refreshing. A fabulous palate cleanser, actually, after a dinner like Sue's, before you move on, obviously, to these simple things. So that's whisked away. Now it says remove the butterfly whisk, pour into prepared souffle mold. So it is a really runny mixture, but that's what I would expect to see. I'm just going to, I've got some little molds here already prepared. Where's my fourth one? I'm just going to pour it in. Let's see, let's just pop you back a bit. Hang on. The tripod's being silly now. There we are. So I'm just going to pour in. These are a bit like the muelo au chocolat, or the chocolate fondant, you know, the sort of chocolate lava cakes with a runny filling. So I should have got my act together and done these a little bit. Oh, look, there's more mixture left. I will deal with that later. I should have got my act together and prepared these earlier on in the demo, actually, and then you would have seen them bake, because they actually only take 10 minutes in the oven. So if I just go back to my screen, it's just telling me to bake them for 10 minutes at 220. So, and all of these are fan temperatures. So let's just pop them in and put my timer on for 10 minutes, because I don't want to overbake them. The real joy of these sorts of things is having that really gooey, runny center. So there we go. And I think we've come to the end of the cooking. So we've done the lemonade, we've done in just over an hour, we've done a main course with a soup. We've done a lemonade, we've done a pudding, and we've done the beautiful turmeric and mango sorbet, which I can't wait to dive into later. In fact, I don't think I'm going to bother with dinner. I'm just going to have a massive bowl full of that. So that hopefully has given you a flavour for what a Thermomix can do. It isn't just a food processor. It can do so many different things. Now, I just have a little bit of a chat just to mention some of the things that I haven't covered so far. I'd like to just show you Cookie Do. If you're still on the call, we can do that at the end. Yeah, who's enjoyed this evening? Who's enjoyed watching what it can do? Have we got any? It'd be really nice to see if we're going to create some new customers out of this. Has sort of seeing it in action encourage you to think, yeah, you know, I need one of these in my life. And don't forget that these are not just for people that can cook. Yes, Monica Galetti uses them. Who else have we got? Tom Aikens. Pretty much, you will find a Thermomix in every Michelin-starred restaurant, pretty much across the world. You will see them. Now you know what they look like. You will spot them on MasterChef The Professionals. You will see them on programs like Great British Menu. You often see them on programs like Sunday Brunch, sitting in chefs' kitchens. And the chances are, if you're watching a cookery program, or you're watching one of the programs like Behind the Scenes in a Chocolate Factory, if you go into a development kitchen in a company like Hotel Chocolat or Cadbury's, they have got Thermomixes in there. So yes, the professional chefs use them for reasons like Sue said with the soup. You cannot replicate the quality and the smoothness of a soup without a Thermomix. But also people that can't cook or don't know how to cook will use Thermomixes, because it is like having a chef in an earpiece walking you step by step through the recipe, telling you what to do at every point. So you've got that safety net. If you're a busy mum, a bit like me, you know, I love just saying to my children, giving them all the ingredients and saying to them, right, here's the ingredients. I've got to go out now. Make me a risotto, make me a curry. My 14-year-old has been making curries from scratch, including grinding and toasting his own spices since he was 11. Often I'd go out and pick up another child from gymnastics after school and just leave him safely and easily and cooking a curry. And quite often he'd just be sat there on his phone most of the time. I'd be like, what are you doing, Jamie? He said, well, I'm cooking. And I'm like, no, you're not, you're on Instagram. And that really sums up the Thermomix entirely, because it just enables you to do more of the things that you love. So if you are thinking, right, I've got to get one of these, I'm just going to talk you through the options and how much it costs, and how you can buy one. So a Thermomix costs £1,149. Yes, it is a lot of money when you think of it like that, but the value that you will get from a Thermomix, you will never look back once you've got one in your kitchen. So I like to break it down into sort of a daily or a weekly cost, and because you can spread the cost of a Thermomix over 1, 2 or 3 years, on a 3-year plan, the Thermomix costs £1.20 a day. Now, if you don't get at least 2 times or twice or 3 times that amount back, then I would be doing something wrong as an advisor in showing you how to use your Thermomix. Most of my customers will tell you that they will save between £20 and £50 a week using their Thermomix to full potential. So if you're sitting here thinking to yourself, oh, I'd love one, but I can't afford it. If you buy a takeaway once a month, you can afford, or certainly once a week, you can afford a Thermomix. Most takeaways cost what, 40, 50, 60 pounds for a family of 4. I know people that pay that every single week. That's £200 a month on a takeaway. And the principle behind the Thermomix is that you buy cheaper, fresher ingredients that you cook from scratch to restaurant quality in the Thermomix. It will be a lot healthier to do it that way. It will save you money. You know exactly what's in your food. So on a 1-year plan, the Thermomix costs about £95 a month. On a 2-year plan, it's £56 a month. On a 3-year plan, it's about £36 a month. Now, for the month of March, we are still in March, aren't we? Yes. I had a bit of a mental block there. We have got a fabulous offer on the 1-year finance plan. Currently, it is interest-free until the 31st of March, which is brilliant. So you will save yourself just over £100 a year by buying in March and spreading it over the course of the year, because you will save all those interest payments. So on the 1-year plan, it's £95 a month. That's a ridiculous £24 a week. If you are buying any sort of takeaways or takeaway coffees or anything like that on a regular basis, you can definitely afford a Thermomix. And by the way, it will make you coffee and froth the milk as well. Or you can pay in one payment. And if you pay in one payment, that's just a straightforward card payment with your advisor. We would just process it through the portal. If you decide to do it on finance, it takes about 20 minutes. And we would just do a finance application through Icano Bank, which are actually owned by IKEA, with you over the phone. But we would strongly recommend that you do this to an advisor. You will not be offered interest-free, and you cannot do spread payments on the website either. Any monthly customer promotions or bundle offers will only ever be offered through an advisor. And please don't go online and say, oh, look, this website here is offering a Thermomix for £949, because that is a scam. If something looks too good to be true, it usually is. They will take your money and you will never get your Thermomix. We have had a lot of very disappointed customers over the last year or so during lockdown. So let me just check on my sheet that I think we've done everything. Just run through. Who's enjoyed this evening? I hope you've seen how much fun it can be, how inspirational it can be. And yeah, I mean, it's so good for busy people because it just helps you get a little bit more organized. You've got, if you're, you know, if you're a mum or your dad and the cooking just solely falls to you, you know what a big responsibility that is. This is like having an extra pair of hands helping you in the kitchen, and just taking a little bit of that pressure off. And again, it does, so it will save you time, it will save you money, but it will also save on things like packaging as well. So making my homemade yogurts, yes, it saves me, well, I think I worked it out last week, it cost me about, well, less than half of what it would cost me to buy yogurt, but then I don't have all the plastic packaging to put in the bin either. And I have got customers, amongst my customers, that will have bought their Thermomix because of the environmental considerations, because it helps them feel that they're doing that little bit for the environment, and it washes and dries itself up as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Has anybody got any questions or comments that I perhaps haven't dealt with, or one of my team?
No. Hi, Lindsay. I think we've gone through most of them. I just want to come back to Johanna's, it's Michaela here, around the safety features. I have a customer who has some special needs, and we ended up adapting a table and a cook scenario for her, and she is in a wheelchair, she has degenerative disease, and she's using the Thermomix now and cooking for her family. So just around the safety features of the Thermomix, and the simple big plain text on the screen makes it really accessible for those people with special needs. So that was, I think, back to Johanna's question earlier on. I hope that helped.
Brilliant, thank you for that. Okay, so one final thing that I just wanted to show you very quickly, and I won't keep you longer than a few minutes to do this. I just wanted to show you what our Cookie Do app looks like, because it's a fantastic app. And you can actually get free access to Cookie Do for the first 28 days. You get 6 months free when you buy your machine, and then it is just £30 a year thereafter, which is fantastic value, isn't it, really, for access to nearly 70,000 recipes and counting. So if I just going to share my screen, if it's going to let me, and go onto there, share. This is what Cookie Do looks like. So it's all personalized and tailored to you. So if you scroll down the screen, you've got suggested recipes. So this is based on your browsing profile and cooking history. You can switch this off if you want to. It will just be in your privacy settings. These are the latest recipes that we've brought out. It will tell you what's the most cooked in the UK. Oh, hang on, my pinger's going off. Let me just take my cakes out of the oven. Hopefully. Oh yes, they look lovely. In fact, I don't think they're quite done yet, so my oven wasn't quite at temperature. I'm just going to give them another few minutes while I talk you through Cookie Do. Not 7 minutes, because they will be definitely overdone, and no molten centers. So if you go down, we've got seasonal recipes, latest collections, and then we've got some masterclasses on here, which are fantastic. So if you know how to make pastry, or use your Thermomix to make pastry, what we were finding was that our customers may not have necessarily know how to blind bake or line tin. So we've got all these amazing masterclasses available for you, free of charge through Cookie Do, to show you how to do some of these techniques. Okay, so if I just go into, you can have a look, the explore, the function looks exactly like it does when I am on my Thermomix screen. And if I go to search, hang on, I need to, I don't think I can pick up the search because I've got a toolbar in the way. There we go. So that platform looks exactly like it does on my Thermomix screen. So I can just pop whatever I want to search in there. And it will bring me up all the relevant recipes. You can, if you go onto my week, let me show you what it looks like. Here I've got items in my shopping list, and I just want to pick that toolbar up so I can say, so these are all recipes that I have added to my shopping list. And if I want to have a look at, let's have a look at show the ingredients. So show me what's on my shopping list. I can either do it by category or I prefer it by recipe actually. Then you can click on order ingredients. You can choose your store. We do have Tesco's as well, but we're just having a few technical difficulties with the Tesco shopping basket at the moment and coordinating, so they've pulled it off. But if you go on to, and the same applies with Asda, so if you go on to Sainsbury's, it will show you how much those ingredients will cost at Sainsbury's. If you simply want to change store, you go to Waitrose, and it will show you how much they will cost at Waitrose. And this is a real time saver and money saver as well for people, because customers are finding they only really buy what they need rather than wander around the supermarket buying everything in sight, a bit like me. I'm not organised enough to do this, but I have a lot of customers that are and get a load of benefits from it. And then if I just click onto my recipes, you'll see, let's move that back over there. The platform looks exactly like it does really on the Thermomix screen. And I've got my created recipes in here. So here are all my recipes that I've saved. So for example, if I just want to go and say, oh, this chicken and chorizo burger here, I am going to, if I want to cook it today, I can put it into my planner for today. If I want to add it to another day next week, I can put it into, oh, let's put it into April. I fancy doing that maybe next Friday. I can add it to my shopping list, or I can remove it. It's currently a bookmark. I can remove it, or I can move it into a different folder if I want to. So there's lots of flexibility here. This is one of my favorite recipes here, which is why it's bookmarked. It's my yogurt recipe. Ever so easy to make yogurt in a Thermomix and very rewarding, and it tastes absolutely delicious as well. It's a bit like very similar to a Muller yogurt, and I can control the sugar content as well, which is really good. So that is just a very whirlwind guide to Cookie Do. You can waste hours looking at Cookie Do, searching for recipes. And then people say to me, my goodness, you always find the best recipes. And that's because I sit there and all my spare opportunities just look for things that I can cook, because that's what I love to do. So if anybody tells you that you don't need Thermomix because you can cook, send them my way. That's what I thought. But what I find and what I see my customers say is that with a Thermomix, you love cooking even more, and it allows you to get more done as well. So I hope you've all enjoyed that this evening. Thank you ever so much for staying with us. We've just gone over the hour and a half, so I haven't done too badly with all my talking. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I really hope we're going to create some new owners. And before you go, very quickly, I'm just going to whip these little, oh look, they look a bit better. Look at these little souffled caramel cakes out, which I can't, well, I'm not going to have a main meal tonight. I think I'm just going to sit there with my mango and turmeric sorbet, which is the healthy option, and then a decent portion of one of these on the side as well. I can't wait to dust them with a little bit of ice and sugar, and dip a spoon into them. Oh, let's just put those over there. So I just want to say a big thank you to Sue for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed that, Sue. I'm just going to stop recording now, just in case if anybody wants to ask questions. So it's